From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, this is Philip Kovacevic with your 2:30 news headlines. The city of Surrey may become quieter than expected this Halloween night. Reporter Melanie Levesque has the details.
While Halloween festivities are going to be ramping up as the hours pass, residents of Surrey may experience a more peaceful night. Andrew Nolan, a Surrey bylaw supervisor, says that although illegal fireworks are inevitably going to be set off tonight, the scale of these illegal fireworks displays may be reduced.
We have definitely seen a reduction in them in the past number of years. Obviously, people still are lighting off fireworks. We will see that happen tonight most likely, but our goal is that people are safe and continue to do whatever we can.
In Surrey, fireworks are illegal to use without a fire department permit and a fireworks operator certification. Melanie Levesque, 1680 The Crow.
A father in Port Coquitlam is trying to warn other parents after his daughter found a piece of metal in her lollipop from Dollarama. The man said he told Dollarama about this, but they did not take the lollipops off the shelves. Premier David Eby announced yesterday that high school students in BC will soon be receiving mandatory lessons on the Holocaust. Grade 10 students will begin having these mandatory lessons starting in the fall of 2025. Eby says BC is committed to ensuring all students graduate with an understanding of this piece of history. The co-worker of a man found not criminally responsible for stabbing her more than 12 times is suing Manitoba health authorities, alleging staff at a crisis center failed to protect her from the violence. A judge ruled earlier in the month that Trevor Farley was not criminally responsible for attacking Candace Sizwarek, his colleague at Seven Oaks General Hospital in Winnipeg, as well as killing his mother and father. Sizwarek filed a lawsuit Friday against the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority and Shared Health, alleging staff negligence at Winnipeg's Crisis Response Center resulted in the bloody attacks within hours. Farley's trial heard that he had been in psychosis and was supposed to be under an involuntary hold at the center when the attacks happened in 2021. A separate lawsuit has also been filed by Lori Schellenberg, an employee who witnessed the attack on Sizwarek. Firefighters aided by aircraft are battling to contain a wind-driven wildfire that has damaged or destroyed at least 9 buildings in rural Southern California and forced authorities to issue evacuation orders for 4,000 residents. The Highland Fire is burning today near the Riverside County hamlet of Guanga after breaking out Monday and being spread by gusty Santa Ana winds over 3.5 square miles of brushy hills. Fire spokesman Jeff LaRusso says about 1,300 homes are under evacuation orders. So far, no injuries are reported, but 3 structures are confirmed destroyed and 6 others have been damaged. The head of the FBI is warning of an increased risk of terror attacks in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war. Agency Director Christopher Wray says the Bureau is not currently tracking an organized threat in the U.S., but he remains concerned.
Our most immediate concern is that violent extremists, individuals or small groups, will draw inspiration from the events in the Middle East to carry out attacks against Americans going about their daily lives.
Wray says multiple foreign extremist groups have called for attacks against Americans and the West over the past few weeks. The Edmonton Oilers have signed Sam Gagner to a 1-year, 2-way deal. The Oilers, looking for a change, were looking back to a player who once recorded 8 points in a game for the club. This player is none other than Sam Gagner, who last season played with the Winnipeg Jets. Gagner signed today to a 1-year, 2-way contract worth $775,000. Now for the weather. This afternoon it'll be partly sunny with a high of about 11 degrees Celsius. With tonight should be clear skies for all the trick-or-treaters out there, and a cloudy period over the night and a high of 4 degrees Celsius. Those were your news headlines for 2:30.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikka-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikka-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Too fast because my heart is going a bit too fast, so I'm going to slow it down a bit.
We're like middlemen straight from the creator making these moves.
We're all kind of misfits.
Something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important. Like usually I'll just be like, grab my arm, and then you just kind of like hold them like a T-bar, you know?
I think skateboarding is a piece of medicine in itself.
We're just doing the work in hopes that eventually we'll have chapters of other nations' skate youth in other parts of Turtle Island.
It's nations, skate yours.
Nation Skate Youth started in my living room, organically. I was asked to go to Fort St. John to talk about mental health and bring skateboarding. I didn't know who to bring, and the first person I thought of was Joe Buffalo. Big inspiration in my life.
Joe came up with the name. It didn't really click at first, but after a while we made the logo and everything, and it all just came together so fast.
I think one of my main goals when I started Nations was to get more skate parks on reserves. We realized that this would be a bigger thing, to not just go to one community. We wanted to go to all the communities.
We all wanted to, create something that was like a youth program to help empower like youths through skateboarding. It's a way of getting yourself out of your own shell. And I feel like in a lot of First Nations communities, there's not a lot to do in those communities. It's very small, and sometimes you feel like you're trapped. A lot of them are really nervous when we first meet them. And I feel like when we always start with a talking circle. So it's like we tell our stories, and we kind of we try to make them feel comfortable, and tell them why we're there, and what we're gonna do in the day.
Everyone here is a new beginner or has skated before, and we're here to help each other. If you fall down, take a breath, get back up.
Everything's that way in the beginning, you know what I mean? You're gonna feel out of place when you're beginning, you know what I mean? That's normal. But once you meet your crowd, and that's half the battle with us growing up, is trying to find your people so that they grow with them from a young age as family members, and then they grow as skateboarders.
Gives you like a sense of identity too, you know? Like every time I went to school, I'd always be like, I can't wait to go skate after, or having that, something to look forward to, you know? I feel like it's important when you're a kid.
Especially having a brother. It's easier to influence each other to do things, and you progress faster because of that. And it's like always having a friend there, and always having that safety net in a sense.
Skating is something that we grew up doing together. I feel like that kept us close, Skateboarding is part of my identity, and my family is part of my identity.
Just let skateboarding do its thing. It's that rich, All we do is connect and instill that, plant that seed. It's something I never had growing up,
Seeing Joe skateboard at his level and hearing that he went to the residential school and the way that kids oh, my dad went to residential school. Oh, my brother did. Oh, my mom did. They start to relate. And I think that, it's been a healing journey. Skateboarding, like I said, will take you out of all the negative, all the darkness that you feel. And once you get on a skateboard, that's an opportunity for you just to focus on something. and be present.
Like even in my community, there's suicides like every year, and it's really sad because you lose knowledge keepers, you lose, you know, momentum, like you lose just youth that have a lot of potential. And I remember Rosie, that was the biggest reason why she wanted to start Nations.
You know, to talk about alcohol, drugs, and suicide, because it's happening and they're so young and they see it and they're experiencing it. And just to let them know, like, that they're valued.
It kind of stops that intergenerational trauma because it's a lot of self-doubt, and skateboarding kind of gives you that, you know, that recognition that like it's not, yeah, it just gives you that freedom to express yourself.
Hell yeah.
So today I was skateboarding on the skate park and I was just learning. I was a little nervous at first, but then I got the hang of it. He made me feel happy. Okay, can we do that again?
Yeah, let's do it again. Okay, I'll go on this side of you.
Because he is a good skateboarder and he taught me how to do some tricks. Apple turnover and like tic-tac.
When you have someone believing in you and cheering you on, like that whole feeling, and that's how I try to do with Nations, you know, like you got it, you're there, and the just like the inspiring and like the empowerment you get from that, it's a good feeling. We want the youth to be their best selves. We want them to know that everything isn't going to be easy. But once they start skateboarding and you can see that they're pushing on their own and they're able to do tricks right away, and I think that's something that is so positive, and you know, it's gonna create leadership and create community where there hasn't been. What I've seen at Nations that makes me proud, when I ask a youth how to count in their language or say hello or thank you in their language, and they can tell me.
So kikiu means eagle, musquasses means bear, kukam means auntie, grandma, musha means grandpa, and tuk-tuk means duck.
What's your favorite word in Cree?
Eagle because I'm an eagle.
In so many ways I was trying to find myself in skateboarding, like the community skateboarding has, which has been really fulfilling in a lot of ways. But I think connecting to my culture, you really do feel that connection with your ancestors when you do that stuff. I feel like with Nations we're able to use skateboarding as like a tool to empower youth and to like give them, I know Rosie always said it, but like, you know, be proud of who you are and be proud of where you come from. And I feel like it rings so true in so many of the communities that we go to.
To be proud of who you are, be proud of where you come from, not to be ashamed. I feel like when you start telling them that at a young age, it's going to change the way they look at themselves, the way they carry on their culture and their traditions, the way that they will have that close relationship with their grandparents, and to learn. I know for me, I've heard stories that broke me, that completely broke me. And it made me mad, it made me angry, it made me sad, it made me pissed right off at the government. But when you're around youth, you know, you want to show them the hope. You definitely want to show them that there's hope out there.
Because it's needed. Someone's got to be here for the youth. Someone's got to be that person, that older brother, older sister needed, that kind of needed, you know? There's nothing like it. So that's why we figured give back. I'm here to teach you. You're not going to fall. I'm going to hold you, okay? Give me your hands. We're just getting started, man.
having self-determination to be better and to create that community, I think, is something that we want to pass down to the youth as well. Show them what's possible.
Look, Joanna, hey, hey, look, Joanna, hey, hey, CGLA, hey, hey,
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the lower mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
A very happy Halloween, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jagraz Lawley with your 3 o'clock news update on 1680 The Crow. $100,000 worth of illegal fireworks have been seized from a single local business. BCIT reporter Melanie Levesque has more.
Recently, Surrey's RCMP and bylaw officers seized $100,000 of fireworks from a retail location. The business owner and 2 employees were issued fines. Andrew Nolan, a Surrey bylaw supervisor, says that the city is taking a proactive approach to deal with the issue of illegal fireworks and is prepared for the increase in this type of crime due to Halloween.
We will have extra officers patrolling. We'll take complaints from the public and respond to those. And we are issuing fines if we do see anyone discharging fireworks.
The city is urging citizens to call their bylaw line at 604-591-4370 instead of 911 to report fireworks. Melanie Levesque, 1680 The Crow.
Our reporter Melanie Levesque joins us now with more information. Melanie, on what scale is the city of Surrey expecting illegal fireworks tonight?
Well, although the city is expecting to see illegal fireworks tonight, they are forecasting that there will be less than in previous years due to seizures of fireworks and enforcement by police and bylaw officers.
And are there any other upcoming events that could generate an increase in illegal fireworks?
Yes, RCMP and bylaw officers are also expecting to respond to more complaints about illegal fireworks in November when the yearly Diwali festival occurs.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Halloween is soon to be upon us for trick-or-treaters. This is a very exciting time, but for wildlife, a very stressful time. Our reporter Liam Higgs has the latest.
Trick-or-treaters are indeed getting excited as Halloween is just hours away now. Unfortunately, not everyone has a stress-free evening. This time of year is a very stressful time for wildlife, especially bears. From the fireworks to the amount of people out and about, you would think that that would be enough to keep bears away. However, one particular decoration is attracting bears into people's front yards. Fur Bears Executive Director Leslie Fox shares what decoration it is.
But there is, of course, a big attractant around Halloween, which are pumpkins. And so leaving pumpkins outside can bring wildlife like bears.
So make sure to bring your pumpkins in after Halloween, or better yet, put them on display in your windows and stay safe out there. Liam Higgs, 1680 The Crow.
Calls for disciplinary action against a Langara College instructor, Natalie Knight, have emerged after she made comments during a rally in Vancouver. Knight referred to the Hamas attack on Israel as amazing and brilliant. She also mentioned her affiliation with the organization United in Struggle and praised the escape of 6 Palestinian political prisoners from an Israeli prison. These comments have faced condemnation from various quarters, including those who support the Palestinian cause. Langara College has initiated an investigation into the matter, emphasizing that Knight's personal values do not represent the college's stance. A recent research paper dives into what insects can tell us about dead bodies. Our reporter Jocelyn Chappelle spoke with an expert about how this can help investigators in homicide cases.
By colonizing a dead body in a predictable manner, insects can tell us a variety of things, as highlighted in a paper by Gail Anderson, SFU School of Criminology professor. By looking at how old insects are and what species are present, Anderson described how the findings can assist police or investigators when examining a dead body.
Oh, lots of things. Time of death is the number one, but they'll also tell us whether or not the body's been moved, for instance, by the killer moving the body from the original site to another one.
Anderson says insects can also indicate other times of a corpse being disturbed, where wound sites might be, and if the victim was using drugs or was poisoned. Jocelyn Chappelle, 1680 The Crow.
The full interview will be airing at 3:15 local time for our For the Record segment. Vancouver and 4 other BC cities have made it to the top 10 rattiest cities in Canada, according to a report by Orkin. Vancouver is ranked second, with Toronto taking the top spot. Burnaby, Kelowna, and Mississauga complete the top 5. The ranking is based on the number of rodent treatments conducted by Orkin between August 1st, 2021 and July 31st, 2022. For those looking to prevent rodent infestations, Orkin recommends keeping outdoor vegetation away from home exteriors, eliminating moisture sources like clogged gutters, inspecting properties for rodent signs, sealing entry points, and maintaining cleanliness to avoid attracting rodents. BC United leader Kelvin Falcon, representing the opposition, has pledged to eliminate the provincial carbon tax on all fuels and prevent any future hikes if his party secures victory in the upcoming election. Although Falcon was part of the previous BC Liberal government that introduced the tax in 2008, he contends that the current economic landscape justifies this change.
When circumstances change and you see the impacts it's having on people, and importantly, you also do not see reduced emissions resulting from it, that's when you've got to pivot and look at other things that we can do to achieve better outcomes.
Falcon's promise comes as the federal government announced an exemption for home heating oil on its carbon tax, which doesn't apply to BC or other provinces that have their own carbon tax. When reports of 4 goats wandering on roadways in Abbotsford came in, officers with experience in goat herding were dispatched to address the unusual situation. Constable Art Still explained that the primary concern was ensuring the safety of motorists, given the risk posed by the goats. The goats were eventually located in the area of Mount Lehman and South Fraser Way, casually grazing on grass and shrubbery. Fortunately, the responding officers had the necessary expertise to corral the goats and arrange for their temporary care by animal control. Following their safe relocation, the focus shifted to identifying the rightful owner. Officers posted about the goats on social media, which led to their owner coming forward. The goats had discovered a gap in the chain link fence that contained them, a typical feat for their curious nature. Their owner has since reinforced the fence to prevent any future escapes. In the end, the goats were found happily enjoying their grass and hay in their home, and they cooperated during the entire incident, according to Stell. Advocates are pressing for swift action to protect international students in Canada who received fake acceptance letters from post-secondary institutions. This call follows recent government measures to address the issue, with advocates emphasizing the need for quicker resolution, as many students are still in limbo. These students were duped by immigration consultants who charged them significant fees to secure entry into Canada. The government has reviewed over 100 cases, allowing 63 students to stay, but others face complications like passport confiscation and expired visas. Advocates stress the importance of comprehensive support for undocumented students and highlight the commitment made by Prime Minister Trudeau over 21 months ago to establish a regularization program granting permanent resident status to affected individuals. Delays expose them to further exploitation and vulnerability. Multiple airstrikes have caused significant damage to several apartment blocks in the residential areas of the Jabalia refugee camp near Gaza City. U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby has stated that he currently lacks information regarding the strike.
Can't say much. I mean, this all just happened just before I came on out here, and I just don't have a lot of information on that.
And now a look at the most anticipated movies to watch this holiday season. ABC's Jason Nathanson has more.
It's all about the Marvels.
We're a team. Oh, no, we're not a team. We're not a team.
The latest Marvel superhero team-up movie tops Fandango's poll of the most anticipated movies coming out this holiday season. It'll be in theaters a week from Friday. In second,
I'm the king of Atlantis.
Another superhero film, this one from DC. It's the sequel Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. That's out December 22nd. And in third,
My name is Willy Wonka.
it's Timothée Chalamet and Wonka, in theaters December 15th. The Hunger Games prequel and Napoleon round up the top 5. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
The Vancouver Canucks are set to finish a 3-game homestand tonight when they host the Nashville Predators. Goaltender Thatcher Demko is expected to start after Casey DeSmith stopped 20 of 24 shots in Saturday's overtime loss against the New York Rangers. Nashville comes into this one having defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs in overtime Saturday night. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. local time at Rogers Arena. Montreal Canadiens forward Kirby Dach, who underwent knee surgery, is anticipated to be fully prepared for the beginning of the next NHL season. Dach suffered double ligament tears in his right knee following an incident during Montreal's home opener against Chicago on October 14th, where he was checked into a player bench. In the 2 games he played this season, he served as Montreal's second-line center and managed to contribute with 2 assists. On to basketball now, as the Philadelphia 76ers have traded star guard James Harden to the Los Angeles Clippers. Gethin Kulba of the Associated Press has more.
James Harden finally got his trade to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Philadelphia 76ers sent Harden, PJ Tucker, and Filip Petrusev to Los Angeles in exchange for a lengthy list including Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, and KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first-round draft pick, 2 second-round picks, a 2029 draft pick swap, and an additional first-rounder from a third team, according to an AP source. Harden, who told the 76ers that the Clippers were his preferred destination from the moment he issued his offseason trade demand, now joins a loaded roster intent on making a title push. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The Texas Rangers aim to extend their lead in the World Series to 3-1 as they face the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. Currently, the Rangers are ahead in the best-of-7 series with a score of 2-1 following their 3-1 victory last night in downtown Phoenix. Notably, the Rangers have secured their 9th consecutive road win. The upcoming game and Game 5 will be hosted by the Diamondbacks. Saudi Arabia is on the verge of becoming the host for the men's 2034 FIFA World Cup, with the Australian Soccer Federation opting out of the bidding competition. FIFA had set a Tuesday deadline for submitting bids to host the tournament. The victory appears nearly certain for the oil-rich kingdom, marking the realization of Saudi Arabia's ambitious endeavor to establish itself as a prominent presence in global sports. For our weather tonight, trick-or-treaters won't need their raincoats as showers are not expected until tomorrow. That's all for your 3 o'clock news update. I'm Jagraj Lawley. Happy Halloween, stay safe, and stay listening to 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate. The lower main
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the lower mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm your host, Jocelyn Chappelle, and today we're diving into decomposition and the important role insects play when examining dead bodies. The proper term is forensic entomology, and it dates all the way back to roughly 800 years ago in China. The most helpful insect would be the blowfly. Today, the science is still used and is the most accurate way of determining time of death if a person has been dead for 3 or more days. In the past 20 years, it has become more and more common in police investigations. SFU School of Criminology professor Gail Anderson has assisted with cases by lending her expert knowledge. Anderson recently wrote a paper on the subject, and today she joins us to discuss what exactly insects can tell us about corpses and why this is helpful. What role do insects play in determining a person's time of death?
Insects will colonize a body in a predictable manner, and they will develop at a predictable rate. So when we look at insects on a dead body, we look at how old the insects are, and we also look at what species of insects are present. And that will tell us how far since death the body has decomposed.
What other things can insects tell us about a corpse?
Well, insects can do a lot of other things as well as time of death. We can work out whether the body's been moved from one place to another, usually by the killer moving the body, or whether the body's been disturbed, again, usually by the killer coming back to the scene of the crime. We can work out whether the victim used drugs or perhaps was poisoned. We can work out the presence of wound sites when they're no longer visible to the naked eye. We can even identify the victim. In some cases, you'll find a scenario where you believe somebody's been murdered, but there is no body present. But if you look at the insects that may have dropped off the body when perhaps the killer moved the body, you can get the DNA from the victim, the food source, back from the insects.
How is this information used to help police, and how long have they been using insects to help determine these different sort of things?
So it's actually an extremely old science. It's been used, I'd say, in modern forensic science in Canada probably since the 60s, and most commonly since the 70s and 80s and on since then.
How has the science changed over the years?
Basically by learning a lot more about it, by understanding a lot more about insect colonization and what kind of species will colonize in different times, developing development rates, understanding much more about the relationship with the insect and the body and the bacteria that live on the body. So primarily just understanding a great deal more. Back in the 60s and 70s, there wasn't much knowledge about it. There wasn't much sort of strong scientific research behind it. But since, I'd say, probably the 80s and onwards, research in this area has just exploded. So we know a great deal more about the insect relationship with the dead body.
On that note, are there any type of insects that have been discovered in recent years or just overall that are more helpful than others in getting information about corpses?
Well, the most valuable insects are the blowflies, the Californidae, because they arrive very shortly after death if the conditions are appropriate. So when they come really, really quickly, they're the ones that we are primarily going to be using to estimate the elapsed time since death.
Now, the research paper, it really dives into this topic. What sparked your interest?
The ability to be able to use my science to help others and to help solve crimes.
Now, what is the first thing that happens to the body when someone dies?
Well, immediately after death, obviously the blood stops flowing, and there's no longer oxygen going into the tissues, etc. So you get a cascade of different medical biological changes that take place as alga mortis, as the body starts to cool, going down to room temperature, basically, or the ambient temperature. Rigor mortis, as there's no more oxygen there and lactic acid starts to build up and the muscles become stiff. Liver mortis, as the blood stops flowing, so starts dropping to the lowest parts of the body. Obviously, the body's cooling. There's a lot of bacterial activity. We all have a lot of bacteria in us already, naturally, and they're usually helpful bacteria. But after we die, they help to break the body down. So there's a cascade of different biological features that are happening as the body starts to break down.
Now, I had one last question. I saw in the paper that insects can also be an indicator if a victim used drugs or was poisoned. Would you mind briefly touching on how that works?
Yeah, it's very simple. I mean, you are what you eat, and so if they're eating tissue that is laden with, say, cocaine or methamphetamine or something like that, then you simply analyze the maggot just as you would a piece of liver or a piece of muscle tissue. So it's not something the entomologist would do, it's something the toxicologist would do. The insects just become an extra toxicological specimen. And what makes them special is that in many cases, once the body is fairly decomposed, then you can no longer get drugs from the body itself. But the insects are alive, they're fresh, so they can still be analyzed.
That wraps up today's For the Record. I'm Jocelyn Chappelle. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in tomorrow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, this is Philip Kovacevic with your 3:30 news headlines.
Happy Halloween, everyone. It's an exciting day for most, but for some, such as wildlife, it's a much more stressful time. Our reporter Liam Higgs has some wildlife safety tips for you.
Earlier, we heard about how we need to bring our pumpkins inside when Halloween is over. Kathy Murray from WildSafe BC gives us some other no-goes.
We're asking people not to place pumpkins by the roadside as they can lead to wildlife vehicle collisions, and also not to dump large quantities of pumpkins in the forest. This can draw wildlife in numbers and can increase disease transmission.
Unfortunately, it's not just pumpkins that are a problem. Other decorations have their own issues.
Yeah, just kind of like cobwebs and things. Yeah, like for sure, animals can get tangled up in there. Deer can get their antlers caught in there. Bears can get stuck in there. So just certainly, think about where you're placing that stuff, and certainly, remove it as soon as Halloween is over.
Stay safe this Halloween. Liam Higgs, 1680, The Crow.
Burnaby RCMP are notifying the public that the 59-year-old woman that was the subject of a missing persons appeal on October 27, 2023, has been located deceased. The mounted police have said foul play is not suspected, and Burnaby RCMP offers condolences to the woman's family and friends as well. They would also like to thank policing and community partners, the media, and the public for their assistance. Helijet International Incorporated, North America's largest and longest-standing helicopter airline, announced plans to become the first Canadian air carrier to provide passenger and cargo services using electric vertical takeoff and landing, aka eVTOL aircraft, after placing firm orders from ALIA eVTOL aircraft from Beta Technologies. Helijet will integrate the Beta-designed aircraft into its existing network of helicopter services, providing quieter, lower-cost, sustainable air transportation for travelers in southwestern BC and the Pacific Northwest. The electric aircraft's vertical takeoff and landing capability will also have tremendous potential to enhance Helijet's provision of emergency response, air ambulance, and organ transfer services in the Lower Mainland, as well as support rural and remote communities that do not have access to affordable and convenient air services. Robert De Niro verbally lashed out in a New York courtroom against a former executive assistant and vice president who was seeking millions of dollars after accusing her former boss of being abusive. De Niro returned to the witness stand for a second day Tuesday in his fight against the former assistant, Graham Chase Robinson. His anger seemed to build up over several hours of questions by her lawyer until he finally exploded with anger, glaring at her as he shouted, "Shame on you, Chase Robinson." Following confirmation from the U.S. Senate, Jacob Lew, former Treasury Secretary in the Obama administration, is now the ambassador to Israel.
The Senate confirmed Jacob Lew by a vote of 53 to 43. Lew promised to stand side by side with Israel's leaders as they respond to the October 7th attack by Hamas. Lew said at his confirmation hearing in mid-October that there is currently no greater mission than to be asked to strengthen the ties between the United States and the State of Israel. U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said after Lew's confirmation that the administration is eager for him to get on the ground and start leading efforts to support Israel and its fight against Hamas, but also to help integrate and continue to lead the effort to get humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza. Norman Hall, Washington.
An NFC East team has been kicked off the league's trade deadline frenzy because they traded away a pair of former first-round picks.
The Washington Commanders have traded Chase Young to the San Francisco 49ers for a third-round draft pick and dealt Montez Sweat to the Chicago Bears for a 2024 second-rounder, according to an AP source. Young will team up with his former Ohio State teammate Nick Bosa to give the Niners a formidable edge-rushing duo and provide a needed boost for a team on a 3-game losing streak. Sending away their top 2 pass rushers signals a major shift for the Commanders under new ownership. Washington has lost 5 of 6 since starting the season 2-0. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Those were your news headlines for 3:30. Philip Kovacevic, 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.